So I was doing a show earlier today with a good friend of mine. He is Blanchard, and it came down to my personal life, and he was asking me, my thoughts on marriage and relationships, and I informed him that, yeah, I will get married. I just won't get married to a woman in the United States, and whoever I do marry, she will never step foot on American soil. Not because that America's dangerous and the place is toxic or whatever, but it's just because the women here in the States are suffering from a mind virus that is unfortunately contagious. And a lot of men, they agree with me, they just don't want to say it because they don't want to run afoul of women in the United States. But the men who openly agree with me are men who already understand that we have 190 other options to choose from. It's unfortunate, but this mind virus, as extreme as it is and as deadly as it is, it's only in American women. Magically, it just never spread outside of our borders. Even though our borders are just imaginary lines, for somehow the virus has been contained to the United States because it's a part of the culture. The culture in America has shifted from American culture to and it's been replaced with black culture. If you look at black culture, that consists of being anti men, anti family, anti marriage, anti everything that we would consider being traditional, stable. Being a married woman or man with and a happy marriage and being grateful, that would be considered too American or white supremacy. And now people are openly rejecting it. These are the problems that you're going to have in a first world country. It's a mental psychosis that is spreading. This woman right here is my worst nightmare, and I feel so sorry for her husband. And just listening to her for a few seconds, if someone told me her husband, committed suicide in a month or two, I wouldn't be surprised because to wait 8 years to decide that you want your husband to start pretending he's your gay best friend, that's not going to be something that's accomplished or that can be accomplished by a regular man. So let's take a listen so you guys can see what mental trauma torture men are dealing with in 2025.
My husband and I have been married almost 8 years, and we're starting to see a pattern in a lot of our peers who've been married 7+ years, in that the woman seems to be outgrowing the man. And what do I mean by that? I mean, a lot of women are doing a lot of personal work. They're going to therapy. They're unpacking and healing from a lot of baggage or trauma from their childhood or past relationships. They're becoming more self-aware. They're understanding their attachment styles and their communication patterns and why they are the way that they are, and growing and changing and evolving. And the men just aren't doing that work.
That's bullshit. That's just complete gutter slop bullshit. For one thing, everything she named, it's all just made up nonsense, garble. It's basically using manipulation where you're setting new goals for your husband that don't really exist. So you know what that means? He will always fall short. See, these women that are like her, they have been stable for too long. They don't have enough problems. For example, have you ever met anybody that had a cattle dog, but they tried to treat it as a lap dog? A cattle dog needs to run. It needs to chase. It needs to help you with herding animal. A cattle dog needs to work. That's in its DNA. It's not a chow chow. It's not a chihuahua. It's a cattle dog. It's bred for certain things. It's historically, that's what it has done its entire lineage. It is not meant to sit in a kennel while you're at work for 8 hours a day, come out, stretch, and go back to sleep. It's a cattle dog. With women, it's a very similar thing. Women like to chase. They like to hunt. They also enjoy pain and instability. If you make things very stable for her, if you give her what she wants, you don't cheat, you don't stress her out, you're good to her, you focus on your business and you want to come home to a family, you will bore her to death. Women need a struggle. If they don't have an external struggle, if they don't have enough external problems, their mind will wander into dark places and they will mentally create their own worst enemies. They will mentally convince themselves that the man who married them, who loves them with all of his heart, is legally the devil himself.
They are growing financially or in their career because that's what they've been trained and conditioned to do, to provide.
No, that's not what we've been trained and conditioned to do. And also, it's not that easy. The way she wanted to just push it under the rug. Yeah, he's growing in his career and they're growing financially. Like, that's just not the biggest fucking deal on earth. But the problem is, because you fucking share everything with her, she's ungrateful. You share everything with her, but she doesn't do the work. You do. You think she's going to be a good little housewife, a little cave woman who stays home, cooks, takes care of kids, and she's just delighted to be your love mate. You're wrong. In the United States, everything on from the clothing, what it says on it, to the magazines, to social media, everything is telling these women is that they need to leave you and go cheat with another man. Unfortunately, some of these women have a guilty conscience. They feel bad, so they don't want to cheat. So what do? They come home and they drive you insane because she's looking for a reason to destroy your family just so she can go mess with another man. She wants to go sleep with somebody else. She wants excitement. You are boring. You don't cheat. She's not scared. She's not sad. She's not anxious. She's too comfortable. And what do they tell you? Idle hands are the devil's workshop. You must keep her confused. You must keep her chasing you. She cannot get too comfortable or she will turn into this fucking monster. My God, do you know how many men have taken their own lives because we don't have anyone else? Do you understand what happens when you get married to a man? See, not only do you lose everybody, but your woman makes sure there's nobody in your orbit. They push everyone away from you. And you think this is just part of being married. She's supposed to be my partner. She's my rock. She's my queen. Then you're alone. And now you're fighting this beast by yourself. You don't have friends anymore. Your family kind of abandoned you because as soon as you got married and got with her, you stopped speaking. Now it's been 4 years, 5 years later, this woman is losing her mind and you have nobody to talk to. She wants to spend your money to go see a therapist that's just going to tell her she's right. It's not going to help. Therapy is a scam itself. All of that stuff is it's a gimmick. You're looking for somebody, whoever's paying is going to get that person to agree with them. A therapist is never going to be adversarial to the person with the debit card. So the therapist is going to be on her side, and that's where, and it's going to reinforce her delusions about you. Here you are going to work, taking care of her. Does she look like a woman that works? Absolutely not. You know what she does? She stays at home all fucking day. She probably doesn't even have no kids. Even if she does, they're probably at school. She's just wandering. But every time she turns on social media, she sees men. And there's always a woman saying, hey, you should go sleep with somebody else. Your husband doesn't deserve you. His emotional love language isn't touch. It isn't this. It isn't that. All these new people pretending like there's another man out there that's not gay who's just like, oh yeah, let me evolve with you. Let me tell you that's bullshit. There's no such man. Men are simple. You're going to project what you want onto a regular guy. You're going to pretend he's doing everything your husband does, but he really doesn't in real life. You're just telling yourself that because you want to justify doing something you you have no business doing. You're looking for an excuse. And I've seen men destroyed in this way. That's why this video is so important. And that's why I'm going to make sure when I post it, it's going to be 6 in the afternoon, because a lot of people need to read this. I have a friend who's going through a divorce right now, and every day he flips a coin and tries to decide if he's going to kill himself or not. And I love him. So I've been telling him, bro, instead of you being by yourself in your apartment, come over here to my house, come hang out with me, come be around us. He's alone. But it's been 5 years. We haven't seen him. He got with this woman. He was a stepdad. He moved in with her. We barely would see him on the internet. He wouldn't get on 2K and play video games with us anymore. Now she all of a sudden turns exactly in every fucking bullshit buzzword this psycho is saying. That's what his wife was saying. All of a sudden, just all these different words, emotional this, you're not doing that. Because guess what he started doing? Paying her bills, helping her with her kids, taking care of her. She still had a job, but he made life easier for her. And because of that, she began to develop habits. She began to be ungrateful, because when a lot of men do things, we don't complain about it. We don't remind you. We don't throw it in your face. So after a while, women start thinking that it's easy and that it's simple and that it's not really a big deal, when it's a huge big deal. The fact that he walked down the aisle for you to marry you at all is a big deal. A lot of men aren't stupid enough to do that anymore. Not to put too much of their business out there, but I just found this out. She was married before. Do you know why she's single? Because her ex-husband, before my friend, he committed suicide.
Died. But they're not doing anything else. They're not going to therapy by themselves. And if they're going to couples therapy, she dragged his butt there. She found the therapist. She made the appointment. She reminded him a million times it was happening, and he just goes to appease her, not to.
So even when he says, okay, goes to therapy, now you want to discount that. Well, he only went because, then why the fuck are you even asking him to go? If he does go, you're going to just say, oh yeah, well, you only went because she forced you. Then why do anything? Then why even try? Then the question needs to be, why even get married if not soon before long, they're going to start complaining about everything you do? So not only, oh, Rico, what about you? You're going to be 80 and alone? I could get married. I could have been married 20 years ago and still end up 80 and alone. I could get married at 77, 78 years old. I could get married and I could still end up 80 and alone. You know what it's like for men when you go through a divorce? You have to relearn how to take care of yourself again, like somebody who's in a car crash and they have to learn how to walk again. You got to learn how to live alone. You're used to having someone else there. You're used to eating for two people. You're used to doing everything with someone. You're used to having somebody there when you come home. You're used to that. You haven't lived by yourself in years, except now you might got child support, alimony, plus your own separate bills. So what's the purpose of getting with somebody if you're going to end up and then having to leave and then you have to figure it all out and go all the way back? You might as well just stay where you are. It's too risky. Marrying an American woman, knowing that they have this mental disorder and it's spreading between them via the English language. So they talk to each other. I was in a store the other day and there was a woman, she was wearing a shirt that said, "Girl, dump him." A t-shirt is telling women who are in relationships to dump their man. But then there's a epidemic of lonely women who no one is approaching anymore. No one wants to be in a relationship or date them. And they're wondering why. That just shows you how egotistical and self-absorbed and unaware these women are to reality. But you're a man. So you don't have the luxury to be unaware and all that. You actually have to be here in the real world. And everything you do has a consequence. But for them, they can divorce you and you still got to pay them. So there's no downside for them to have a mental break, pretend that you're the enemy just so that they can start having sex with other men. and just leave you holding the bag. That's why we have wives in other countries, because they can't sue you in another country. They can't take away your livelihood. Matter of fact, she's not incentivized to leave you in another country. If you guys break up, she's just on her own. And you know what that means? The incentive is for her to make sure she figures the fuck out how to get along with you, not you figure out how to keep her from wanting to leave just because she doesn't want to be called a cheater, but she does want to sleep with other men because she's fucking bored. She's bored to death. She's everything in you guys' relationship is stable and vanilla. She needs excitement. She needs drama. She needs to feel pain. That's what makes women feel alive. Listen to this maniac talk. Everything she's saying is just another excuse to go do something she really knows that she shouldn't be doing. And she's going to find that excuse no matter how. First, oh, yeah, my husband isn't understanding enough. Oh, well, I cheated because he was too understanding and I felt like he was like a female. And I mean, there is no right answer. There is no making them happy. And then the divorce, you know what it does to your children? You have to be with women, or you got to marry a woman who they appreciate you when you take them out of the struggle, but you can't take them too far away, because again, idle hands are the devil's workshop. You have to give them something to chase, and you have to be exciting. See, for men, we just want, we work hard. We just want somebody stable at home to take care of home. We want to be able to come home, but you don't, those days are over. We have television, we have social media, and women are followers. Whatever, anything, any flashing tube is going to talk to them and tell them to, whether it's her cell phone, a TV, or radio, doesn't matter, a computer screen, they're all going to tell her you're the enemy and to leave you alone. And where does that put you financially? And what mental space does that put you in? You don't have anybody else. All you have is your wife. She knows that. And they play the game because they're like, well, he doesn't have a choice. Because if I leave him, he won't be able to. Most men can't replace women. They can't. And, you know, once you go through all that ceremonial stuff in front of God with the wedding, and, you know, men become attached. See, you're in love, but she's in business, the business of controlling you, and you're her personal slave. You're her workhorse. But just to spice it up, not only do you have to worry about the stress at work, now you got stress at home. That's a problem. That's why I haven't moved in anybody else, and I'm not dealing. And now that I've been visiting other countries, I'm done with this. I am 1,000%. I'm out of this bullshit. But I have to make these videos and show other men what's in store for them if they try to do it what we consider the right way. Oh, Rico, all women are the same everywhere you go. I'm like, how the fuck would you know? You don't even have a passport. You've never been anywhere else. You've only dated either Black American or white American women your entire life. And race doesn't matter. They're just Americans. You don't know any better. So you have to go see other things first. And then let me hear you say that. Because every time a friend of mine returns from visiting another country overseas, they say the same thing as me, that they're done with this.
Actually be vulnerable and work on stuff, but just to try to like make her happy so that she'll chill out. And it is so sad to see, because you can literally see it happening. You can see her growing and changing as a person. And he's totally fine being the way that he is. He's totally fine not peeling back those layers. And
it's called being mentally stable. A man, you're now demonizing a man because he's consistent and he's mentally stable. So that means no matter what really happens in the world, he's still staying the same person. But isn't that the person you married? So who the fuck do you want him to all of a sudden be? A woman? Your bestie? What do you expect from him? He literally has to work, but you don't. So you're sitting at home and your mind is just bouncing all over the place like a person in prison. You don't have enough constructive to do. You don't have enough stress. You don't have enough struggle. You don't have enough problems. See, the thing is, and I'm guilty. I've been fucking guilty of this. Where I had a girlfriend, you know what? You know what my ex girlfriend did, because she didn't have to work and she didn't really have much family responsibilities. We don't have any kids. She started drinking. Yeah, 10 o'clock in the morning. Now I get up to go work and go run errands. I leave 9:30, 10 a.m. As soon as I leave, she's in the kitchen pouring up shots of vodka, um, tequila, champagne. I come back 1, 2 in the afternoon. She's blacked out sleep. But sometimes she'll be passed out on the kitchen floor. And then she wakes up and she's sick and she's hung over at 6 in the fucking afternoon. Now I have family, I have friends that want to come over, and they're all looking at her and they're looking at me. And like I said, I had been dealing with her for years. The drinking didn't start until year 4. The first 3 years, she wasn't doing all that. So I'm already attached to her, but I enabled her by making life too easy. See, she's from a small town in another part of the country, and they struggle. She didn't have the luxury to develop certain bad habits. That comes from too much luxury. This woman has too much luxury. So she doesn't have anything to worry about. That's when people start getting all these weird, they have all these other weird things that go on with them mentally, because they're spoiled. No one's making it hard enough for them, because we think, well, we want to make sure our woman is happy. So I want to make life easier on her. She doesn't need to work. And that is the absolute 1,000% wrong thing to ever think and do. You're creating your own problem. I'll be honest, I feel like so bad for her husband.
And working through that emotional, vulnerable stuff, right? He's like, he doesn't want to do that. And he's totally fine not doing it. But as she grows and changes, she has a desire to connect on a deeper level with her partner. She
wants to connect on a deeper level as she grows away from you. She's growing, she's outgrowing her man who's enabled her. Now she might have a little nest egg, she might have a little bit of money saved up, and she knows if you guys divorce, even if it's no fault, you're going to have to pay her. So guess what? She's going to keep her lifestyle, and then she can go get with another man and probably move him in and take care of him on your dime. You're creating your own worst enemy by being too good to her.
craves that, but you can't if they haven't done the work as well. And so there's this disconnect, and that causes problems in the relationship. And she essentially at some point realizes she has 3 choices if her partner is not going to change, is not going to do the work. She can either,
if her partner, she never said her partner was doing anything wrong, but you're expecting him to change. Into who? Or better yet, into what? What do you expect a man, a mentally stable man, what do you expect him to all of a sudden change into? There's no right answer, because there is no answer. The answer is in her mind. And the point is, she wants out. They want out at this point. They're just trying to figure out how to get out without looking too bad. She doesn't want to look like a hoe. She doesn't want to look like she's abusive. She doesn't want to look like the bad guy. So what does she have to do? Come up with all these made up phrases and words that basically say her husband is the bad guy for just being a stable, normal man. And he's not growing. Because he has to be stable, because he has to work with people. He has to live in the world. He doesn't have the luxury to be unstable and just pretend like life's a big joke. You do, because you live off of him. He takes care of you. So you don't have to deal with the real world. You don't know what it's like out there. And if you're married to her, she'll never have to know, because as long as you work, you will pay, because that's how fucked up our marriage, our court systems are, our family court systems are. This is how messed up they are. And until these laws change, more and more men will opt out of getting married, opt out of having kids in the United States, and we will continue to leave. They changed the laws in Kentucky, Now marriages are staying together because the incentives that were there for a woman to divorce you and put you on child support, they've removed them. Until they do that across the entire country, our marriage and our birth rates will continue to collapse.
Settle and be content and realize that he's never going to change. He's never going to grow. He's never going to do any personal work on himself or, become self-aware in any of those ways. Like, he'll grow in his career, he'll grow financially, but as a person in every other way, like, that's not happening. Okay. So she can find a way to be content with that and not have resentment, or she can try to force him to change for the rest of their lives. She can try to pull him along the growth journey and force and prod and get him and try to convince him to do it.
So the whole phrase "until death do you part" doesn't mean shit to these women anymore. It's just a phrase. It doesn't actually mean anything. She's complaining about having to force him to change, and change into what? The man that you're asking for is not the man that you married, and you've never had the man that you're asking him to change into, or you would have been with that man in the first place. How do you know that's what you want when you've never had it before? Just imagine somebody changing up on you in the fifth inning, and you're like, "What the fuck is this? I'm 8 years in. I'm 12 years in, and now you want me to be someone else? Now you want to be someone else? What about me? What about our family? What about our kids?" They don't care. And like I said, this is dealing with women in America is like rolling loaded dice, except it was loaded by the casino. You're going to lose. The house always wins because it's up to her, and her mental instability will decide exactly how your life will play out. That's why I tell people it's not all women, it's American women. It's a problem. It's a mind virus. So, and it's contagious.
Which obviously causes a lot of problems, or she can leave and she can try to find someone who is on her level. Try to find.
There we go. That's all she wants. That's all this. She wants to leave. She wants to go find someone else, and she's going to just pretend that new person does everything, even though he doesn't do shit more than your new guy. He's just probably younger and he's new dick. That's it. He's different than you. Probably looks different, probably a different race, probably, something, everything's different about him. And she's looking for an excuse. That way she can divorce you, and then she can say, "I never cheated. We were broken up." Because then everyone's going to shame her and slam her on the internet. So she's just looking for a reason to get out so she can go sleep with someone else. That's how selfish these people are. But you got to understand, if your happiness is key, then are you willing to sacrifice your happiness for the greater good of the family? And if it's men, yes. As far as women is concerned, no. Women, their happiness comes first, family second. So you are going to be the victim. You're going to be on the receiving end of this beating, and there's really nothing you can do about it because you married her. That's why I was always saying that marriage should have a 5-year expiration, and you have to get it renewed in 5 years, or you can just legally separate it. You don't have to pay any alimony or child support. You guys don't have to be together, but the penalties for men when your wife turns into a deranged lunatic like this lady, the penalties fall on the man. She changed. He didn't. But now he has to pay. This is where the problem comes in. This is what I mean by the courts and the laws here have to change, because this level of luxury and protection from the law by the law is driving these women insane.
Someone who is willing to do the work, who is more her equal. And it is just sad to see from an outside perspective how common this is. And then it just makes you realize how, unfortunately, how rare it is to find a man who is willing to unpack things and do the inner work and work on themselves and figure out why they are the way that they are and whether or not they want to stay that way, or if they want to improve their communication patterns or their habits or their attack.
What the fuck does that mean? Improving his communication patterns. These are all Kamala Harris voters. These are all women, liberal, full of shit, and literally trying to feed you nonsensical word salad. Just putting words together and it means nothing. Updating his communication patterns means absolutely nothing. It's a completely made up phrase for an undiagnosed illness to have to do with your community. Bro, and it's crazy. You didn't sign up for this. You didn't know she was going to change. You not like this, maybe get heavier, maybe gain weight. You never thought she would just turn into some babbling lunatic that's looking for any excuse to get out, any excuse to go cheat. And guess what? You're going to take her back or you're going to have to pay her. And basically, you're going to be paying her new boyfriend indefinitely. All the penalties are on the man, bro. You don't have no control over what her mental does. I mean, even if she did have a little bit of struggle, she could still go crazy because she wants out. She wants to go be with other men romantically, sexually, but she doesn't want to seem like the bad guy, so she has to drag you. The only thing you can do is be one of those men that are cucks. Oh, you can go out and cheat, just come home and tell me about it. Then she'll probably like you a little bit more, but guess what she gets to go do? Now she's on Bang Brothers and doing glory holes, and you're at home, cleaning and cooking like that, bro. Do you want to live like that? Then you're her hostage. You're a hostage to a marriage because you're the prospect of going back to being alone. It's too much to face. And in my opinion, whether you agree with me or not, I think you're better than that. I think men are better than this. And I know too many men that are willing or have lost everything or willing to throw it away because the woman that they entrusted with their heart and their soul changed and turned into this. And there's so many women doing this. That's why I said it's contagious. But you go to other countries, the women don't have the luxury to turn into this. That's why I said it's an American thing. They don't act like this in other countries. They don't have they can't. They don't have enough. They don't have a fucking leg to stand on to parade like this. This is only over here. This isn't everywhere. Maybe in Canada they do this, but this is a first world problem. But it's all, like I said, it's contagious, it's debilitating, and it destroys families, it destroys men, and it makes men out to be the bad guy, and that's wrong.
Attachment styles or the way that they handle conflict, if they like, it's pretty rare to find a man who is willing to be vulnerable and emotional and communicate that and learn and grow with their partner with those more sensitive interpersonal things. And it's just unfortunate. And I think it probably contributes to the male loneliness epidemic.
There is no male loneliness epidemic. Men have always been lonely. Being a man is lonely. You get a woman because traditionally that's what we are programmed to do. But that's not necessarily the right answer anymore because, well, not if you're in the United States. The goal has to be adjusted. The goal now is to be able to afford to go somewhere else part time and build a family and have the women of your choosing. Because if you stay here in the United States, the women that you choose can always use lawfare against you. That's why they act like this. That's why because they have the law behind them. There's nothing stopping them from destroying your family at all. Not even their mothers can stop them anymore. Nobody can talk them into being a good woman. It's not an American thing. That's not a part of the culture anymore. You want to, you're looking for a traditional women with conservative values. You don't want liberal women. They will literally break up your home, destroy the mental of your children and yourself. That's why there's so many. The epidemic is not of men being lonely. The epidemic is men committing suicide because the woman they're with drives them crazy with this bullshit, giving him unrealistic goals that can never be attained. How the fuck can I work on my communication patterns That's not a real thing. It's not a thing. It's bullshit. And you didn't say any of this to me when we were walking down the aisle. Now you're telling me your therapist is telling you that you're growing away from me. You better stop fucking growing then. But if but these women, they won't stop growing. So don't get with them in the first place. And I bet you that'll stunt their growth. See, if she's struggling, if she's single, if she doesn't have a lot of money, there is no growing. All this stuff that she's doing right now is because there's a man funding her bullshit because he doesn't have a choice. He doesn't want her to leave and he get divorced and he has to start all over again. If he can start all over again, she probably wastes it. Then he has to pay child support, alimony, plus start a new relationship. That's too much. That's too much embarrassment too. Women don't care about going through breakups. Men, it makes us look like shit because automatically society and everybody in society assumes he did something wrong. She's throwing out all these words just to try to make it seem like a man is bad and did something wrong by not doing anything wrong. She never says he beats me, he cheats on me, he neglects me, he doesn't speak to me. She never said any of that. The guy sounds like a great guy, but guess what? She came up with new problems in her mind, made up. She created new problems because life has been too good for her and too easy. So she needs to set up obstacles and set up things for you to hoops for you to jump through because she needs the excitement. She knows a new man, a different man will be more exciting. You know, I've had this issue where I was dating women for a year or two, never knew she was married. Never knew it. Do you know how crazy that is? Somebody's husband could have tried to pop up on me or something. Actually, when I was working for a corporate housing company before I started my business. I used to work at this company, and it was a coworker I had. You know, this white chick. You know, she was cool. I talked to her all the time. Yes, I was messing with other women at my job, but I never messed with her. And she used to write letters to me, but she would never give them to me. She just kept them in a box. So one day, her husband finds the box with all these letters and he read them all. She never mailed me or gave me any of these letters. But the way her mind is set up, mentally, me and her have a whole relationship where we've been dealing with each other and going to dinner and all kinds of crazy shit. Her husband comes up to the job, honking the horn, screaming. And I worked in an office building, a corporate office, but it was like these big, huge glass windows that were walls, like a big glass building. So I can see out, but they can't see in. And there's this guy outside honking the horn, screaming my fucking name to come outside. I mean, obviously, now at the time, you know, I'm like, well, I could go out there and I could whoop him, but I'm like, why is he up there screaming my name anyway? And what if he has a gun? Obviously, I'm at work. I'm not armed. So, and everyone's like, don't go out there, this and this. And I think one of the manager goes out there to talk to him. She comes outside and she's crying, like, stop this. What are you doing? And he's telling her, tell me to come outside because me and her work the same shift. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And anyway, he thought that me and his wife were having an affair behind his back because she was secretly lusting over another man. Not him, but another man. But you know why? Because he takes care of her. He pays all the bills. His money is their money. Her money is her money. She has no struggles. She works for fun just to get out of the house. You know, women are always two things. They're always hungry and they're always bored. It's really, really hard to keep a woman's attention because they get bored very easy. It just happens that my personal lifestyle is just very interesting for women. So they don't really get bored with me, but they drift away to try to go back to the normal life. It never pans out and they always end up coming back to me because of the excitement. I don't purposely try to make things exciting, but it's just being around me, things are just different because other guys are not going to do what I'm doing, which is I'm going to give you a list of my demands and I'm going to tell you the truth. My only two demands are, well, my truth is I like women that like women. My demand is if you want to deal with me, you have to be willing to deal with other women. That's already a huge curveball because her whole life she's only dealt with men. You don't understand that bro, there's been times where I see like a girl I used to date, she's messing with one of my friends. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, bro, how many women do you feed her per week? And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, how many do you feed her? I'm like, bro, she's a monster. You don't know that? But if you're not feeding her, then who is? Because she's still eating. She's just not doing it with you. She's doing it behind your back. That's how you end up dealing with somebody's wife and you don't know it because her husband's not feeding her. It's a lot in this world, and it's a lot. And women are way more complicated than men give them credit for because they pretend to be simple until you accidentally marry them or get them pregnant. They don't start all the cheating and wanting to do gangbangs and glory holes. They don't even start doing all that until they get married. Because before they were married, they were too stressed out about being single to do anything. The stability and the consistency from a man will destroy her mental and send her into these places. So it's kind of your fault, and I believe in accountability. You enabled her. That's why she changed. And this is an example. This video right here is a prime example of why it's extremely dangerous to marry or even get too involved with American women. She's going to whoop her husband using the law, and she's going to make it his fault. And she's going to take everything she can because she's bored and she's looking for excitement, and her husband's just not doing it. And she's going to find any excuse to get out. She's going to destroy him. And you know what? A lot of men don't survive it. A lot of men go into a room, put a gun in their mouth, and they pull the trigger, or they hang themselves. They poison themselves with medication because the pain of going back to being alone, knowing she's with somebody else when you gave everything, you did everything right. But that's the problem. Doing everything right is the wrong thing to do. We're living in hell. The people who you treat the worst love you, and the people you treat the best hate you. That's why you have to do everything in reverse in this world. Maybe you get it, maybe you don't. If you do, leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Subscribe to the channel. It's called The Single Boyfriend on YouTube. I appreciate all my new subscribers. I've been seeing my views grow, my subscribers count grow. I appreciate all the support. I'll put my new Cash App link. I'm gonna start doing it like probably tomorrow, the day after, for people that want to send, that want to, buy me a drink, or they have suggestions of topics they want me to talk about, and they want to, send a little donation, whatever. That they're more than welcome to do that. But I mean, I try to have these conversations because this is personal, but it's your life. It's our lives, as men, we have to talk to each other about it. And this is way too common, way too common. It's happening too much. So like and subscribe, The Single Boyfriend on YouTube. I appreciate you guys. Push the like button because it helps me. It puts this into the algorithm so more people to see it, raise my view counts, and it helps me to expand my media company. Eventually, I'm gonna be doing shows with co-hosts. I mainly do the news and variety, but I also talk about relationships and other topics. So I'm not just a one-trick pony. So follow me. I do tons of these videos every day. I like talking to you guys. I do read the comments. It's like I said, this is a complicated issue that you're gonna need to let this simmer for a while. You might need to sleep on this video and watch it again tomorrow. Then you'll have a clear understanding of what I'm saying and how I'm saying it. So just, try to come back and see me when you can. I appreciate your time. Remember, America first, America only.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.